Hello and welcome. Today we'll be going through my poem called Seafloor. It's a poem I wrote several years ago that is very much about depression, which I was struggling a lot with at the time. And this poem is very much like a just honest expression of how I felt at the time, but also make sure to offer a bit of hope at the end for both me and you, anyone listening or reading the poem. So this poem is from my book called Maybe Someday, which I've been going through one poem at a time here on this channel. So if you'd like to check out any of the previous ones, you can go, those are already up. You can go see those now. Or if you end up enjoying what you see here and would like to stick around for more, feel free to subscribe to see the rest of the journey through this book. And I always share, just for a little bit of context in case anyone is new, this book was written a few years ago when I was at the ages of 17 and 18, when I was very much struggling a lot with things like depression, as I talk about in this poem, and just going through a very rough time in my life. And writing helped me to cope and work through and make sense of all these things that I was dealing with, and helped me get to a better place, and then get to writing my second book called I Love Him at Last, which is kind of my journey to getting to a much more hopeful place and better place with myself. So we're still early on in the journey, still at the beginning of this first book. So very much still in a place where I was struggling a lot with stuff. And this poem is one of my first attempts to really, like, no pun intended, dive into these things that I was dealing with, particularly around like depression and things. And this is one that at the time and even now I've always been very proud of and feel like really describes the honest way I was feeling very, very accurately in a very interesting way. So, yeah, I hope that you'll enjoy it and see that value in it that I did. But yeah, as always, I'll just start by reading the poem to you, and then afterwards we'll go into a bit more detail explaining like exactly what this poem means to me and what certain concepts or lines within it truly mean and why I wrote them the way I did. So here is Seafloor. Hidden in a sphere of glass, I found an ocean full of water, deep and blue. Standing in a field of grass, I feel the morning dew that coats its edges after last night's rain, and I'm no longer satisfied with the dew. I dip my toes in, test the water, gradually release, little by little. A rougher current, its touch grows colder, try to retract, but she appears and pulls me in. And I'm not fighting, pull me under. This is what I've chosen, I chose her. This is what I've chosen, take me farther. Take me farther, deeper water, take me farther to the seafloor. I found a lover on the seafloor. We slept together in the seabed. We made love until we reached the shore, but then the tide pulled us back in. I can't feel the waves down here. I don't feel the pressure from above. Though the weight of the ocean holds me down, it's the way it holds me tight that I have grown to love. And my air tank's running out, but I don't care, because I found some comfort in the depths of your blue. I'll set my anchor in the rubble. I'll drown here with you. I found a lover on the seafloor. We slept together in the seabed. We made love until we reached the shore, but then the tide pulled us back in. I'll drown here with you. I'll drown here with you. Let the tide pull me in. You'll drown here with me, my lover in the sea. You'll drown here with me. The scales in the sky point the way for me to go. I don't think I should be here. I think it's time for me to go. I'll drown you out of me. I'll drown you out of me. The tide can't pull me back in. You'll drown without me, my lover of the sea. You'll drown here. You'll see. I found a lover on the seafloor. We slept together in the seabed. We made love until we reached the shore, but then the tide pulled her back in. I'll be satisfied with the dew. So that was Seafloor, and as always, I hope that you enjoyed it and maybe even found some things that you could personally connect with in there, or just things that stood out to you that you really liked about it, or anything like that. And also, as always, I would love to hear about that. If there's anything you'd like to share in the comments about your interpretations or ways that you connect or anything like that, you're always welcome to share those. And yeah, I enjoy seeing how people can connect with my words or what they get out of it. So before I go into explaining more of my thoughts and ideas behind it, I'd like for you to share yours if you'd like to. So now we'll get into a bit of what Seafloor means to me personally and sort of the story behind it. So, as I said before, this poem is very much about depression, and within that poem, that like I refer to as like meant to be a personification of that depression and all those like negative feelings that come with it and everything. So there at the start, hidden in a sphere of glass, I found an ocean. That was referring to like that like sphere of glass is supposed to be like my eyes. And within that I found an ocean, like a sadness, like my tears. And um, so it's supposed to be like this is the beginnings of me falling back into like a bit of a state of a depression. And then that part after that about how I feel the morning dew from last night's rain, and I'm no longer satisfied with the dew. It's like sort of, I guess, a weird way of looking at it, but it's like a lot of how I felt at the time, where I would feel myself start falling back into this depressive state, and I would no longer be satisfied with just feeling a little bit sad. I would need to dive all the way into it and feel it entirely. I was no longer satisfied with the dew, just this little bit of depression. And throughout a lot of my writing, water is very much associated with that kind of stuff, like depression and sadness and just all kinds of negative things. So this dew is representing just like a little hint of sadness, just that warning of an oncoming depressive state. But at the time when I was writing this, I would never be satisfied with that. I would want to keep testing it and go further. And as it starts to say in that next part, where I dip my toes in, test the water, gradually release little by little, and so on, I start to see this little bit of dew, this little bit of water, this little bit of sadness coming on. And instead of retracting or just leaving it as it is and accepting that dew and trying not to fall back into this state, I would ease myself back into it. And then eventually, as it says, she appears and pulls me in. That full-on state of depression, since I let myself just ease into that water, eventually it creeps up and just tugs me right back in, down deep under the water. But as then I say, I'm not fighting. Pull me under. I like wouldn't resist it. I would accept that this is just how it is. Like, I'm stuck here and I'll never truly escape these ways I feel and any of that. So I might as well just accept it and just let myself go every time. Why resist if in the end it'll turn out the same? Which of course later on that idea kind of changes. And with my own life now, several years on from this, I mean, I'm no longer in that same place I was in. And so I can confirm that, like, that though that's how I felt at the time, it, of course, that wasn't actually the truth. But, so yeah, then, like, take me farther, deeper water, take me farther to the seafloor. Like, even being pulled down under the water, I would still want to go deeper and deeper and deeper and just feel the absolute worst I can. It was like, if I'm gonna feel bad, might as well feel as bad as possible. Which, I mean, sounds kind of stupid, but that's how it was at the time, because I was just so consumed by these ways I felt. So then there's that kind of core, repeated part that, I mean, if you're comparing it to a song, kind of feels like it would be like the chorus of the song, sort of, because it's kind of repeated, and it's like the main part of it, where it's, that part about how I found a lover on the seafloor. We slept together in the seabed. We made love until we reached the shore, but then the tide pulled us back in. And it's that kind of, in those 4 lines there, kind of pretty well sums up the, like, that process for me, where I would, well, it was like, kind of in a way, like, I was in love with these negative feelings of mine. Like, even though, of course, like, I didn't actually love it, it's like, that's how it was, because I was, like, so attached to it, and, like, gave it everything I was, and let it just control me in a way. But I mean, I guess I, in a way, loved it and accepted that. So then I stay with it and just sort of treat it like it's a lover of mine, and let it stay with me all through the night, and down at the bottom, feeling the absolute lowest I can, deep in that ocean. And I just give it everything I have, all that I am, until eventually that that feeling passes, and I start to feel a little bit better. And it's like I'm being lifted back up to the shore and out of the water. But as soon as I reach that shore again, I just let the tide pull me back down into the water, and repeat the cycle all over again. And so this poem for me was very much trying to break that cycle. Kind of, it starts off just recognizing the cycle as it is, and exploring a bit more of why maybe it's that way, so I can get a better understanding of it, and, as I try to do in the end, then break that cycle. So then that next part there, I can't feel the waves down here. I don't feel the pressure from above. Though the weight of the ocean holds me down, it's the way it holds me tight that I have grown to love. And that part to me is very important, because it kind of starts to show why I kind of love, in a way, this way I feel. It's like, in my life at the time, there was just so much pressure from all kinds of outside things, and from myself, that I, like, put on myself, and all these things I had to do, and all these different emotions that things were making me feel, and all kinds of stuff. And it was just so overwhelming. But when I just let myself sink into myself, into a state of depression, that kind of numbed myself to all that other pain or stress or whatever it was, and kind of just held me down, and drowned out all the rest of that stuff I was feeling. And also, just since it was such a common occurrence for me, I had just kind of grown used to it. And it, sometimes it would feel uncomfortable to be happy, because it's like I'm so used to being so overwhelmingly sad all the time, and hopeless, and all this stuff, that it feels wrong to not feel that way. And so it, like, became my comfort zone, feeling this way. And so that's why it, like that last part, it's the way that it holds me tight that I've grown to love. And then because of that, in that next part, I say, and my air tank's running out, but I don't care because I found some comfort in the depths of your blue. I'll set my anchor in the rubble. I'll drown here with you. Just becoming so attached to this way I feel that I don't care what happens to me anymore. I don't care if it becomes the end of me. It's like I've just accepted that this is how it is and that escaping is hopeless. And yeah, what else better is there for me? But again, just recognizing that that's how it was for me, so then I can break that cycle and get to a better place as I have. So then after it repeats that main seafloor part, I go into that part where it starts to try to transition into breaking the cycle. So it starts off saying that I'll drown here with you, and I'll just let the tide pull me back in whenever I start to come back up, and that me and my depression will just go down together. You'll drown here with me, my lover in the sea. And then there's that little 2-line break there that's supposed to be like the little glimmer of hope, that there's like this shimmer in the sky that tells me to rise up out of the water, and that I shouldn't be sinking deeper down. That's not good. That's not what's right for me. That's not where I should be. It's time for me to go. It's time for me to rise up and escape and break this cycle. So then that brings me a little bit more hope and a little bit more strength, and I start to resist. Then saying that I'll drown you out of me instead of I'll drown myself here with you. I will now drown this feeling out of me. I won't let it pull me back in. I won't just be taken down and left to be hopeless, and then say like, you'll drown here, you'll see. That confidence that I can beat this and it will drown on its own, and I will rise up and feel better and no longer be trapped in this cycle. So then that's what I say at the end. I found a lover on the seafloor. We slept together in the seabed. We made love until we reached the shore, but then the tide pulled her back in. Again, repeating that same kind of thing, that there was this process. I fell into this state, but then once I start to rise up and I'm back on the shore, this time I'm not letting the tide pull me back in. She will go down alone, and I will be left on the shore, and I'll be satisfied with the dew. I personally, I'm someone who like, I mean, I like to feel all kinds of ways, and I'm not someone who, even now, like being in a better place, I'm not gonna full on resist any sort of negative feeling. I mean, like, I accept all feelings as they are, and think that there's a lot of value in sadness or all kinds of other negative kinds of emotions. But I'm no longer gonna go too far with it. I know the limit now and have gotten comfortable with knowing when it's too far and how to be satisfied with just that little bit of dew, and not let it overwhelm me again and take control. So that, I guess that's the end of it. That's Seafloor. I hope that some of these things I've talked about maybe have been at least interesting, or maybe can connect with you in some way. And if maybe you're struggling with anything similar, then hopefully this was something that could be helpful and some sort of hope for you. And I mean, if not, I hope that at least you found some things that could be of value to you and connect with some bit of you, or something you resonate with in some way. And I mean, I would assume that if you're still here at the end of the video, something here has been of value to you. And as always, I would appreciate it if you would, like the video if you did enjoy it, and would subscribe and stick around if you're interested in seeing more of my story and more of my poetry and more of this book. And next time we'll be going through a poem called Walk Out the Door Together. And so I'll hope to see you there next week. But either way, thanks for being here. And as always, remember, we're all broken and we're just arranging the pieces. Thank you.